Alright, so what we have to do, we're going to be developing our factory machine for a short period of time. I would say about 40 minutes today. And what we have so far is 1 cup piece of copper, 2 cup piece of steel black pipe. I need to reestablish how long it was. I believe it was 7 feet, but I'm just going to check. We're just resuming where we left off. I have 1 last piece of pipe I need to cut for the time being anyways. Okay, it's exactly 7 feet. That's what I thought it was. Very good. So I need to make 1 final cut of this bad boy. 7 feet for you. And that will mark a very important thing, because as soon as I'm done cutting this, I'm done with all pipe cutting for the vertical linear rail. And from that point forward, marking that with whiteout and then with pen to get a real precise measurement. From that point forward, I'll be sanding down these pipes just to score it so glue can stick, and then I'm going to be gluing copper pipe to steel pipe times 2. So we're going to be making 2 linear rails, and the steel pipe will be the main structure of the rail. The copper pipe is flimsy, can't hold its own, but when glued to the steel pipe it's just as strong because it obtains the rigidity of the steel pipe. And you can see the pipes running along the floor right here. That's where I've been keeping them. And then the only reason to add the copper pipe to the steel pipe is if a pipe is round, how are you going to prevent it from rotating around there, your bearing? You can't. So that's why I'm making the pipe 2 pipes glued to each other. Copper with steel, in order to have a figure 8 shaped bearing going over the 2 pipes, and that won't rotate around the pipe this way. It could just go up and down. That's it. So that gives away that rotational lack of accuracy and solves that. And again, I'm trying to do this as cheap as possible using materials I just had around the house. You can use whatever you need that's going to be straight and true for your own version. But I think that this is a good material selection, really. And pretty cheap. For me it's free, so I don't know. I mean, it might be cheaper for you to buy like steel tubing. That's already square, you don't have to glue them together. You can create a linear actuator that goes along that. It will be true. I would say square steel tubing would be better if you're going to go out and buy it from the hardware store. But since I literally had access to these pipes for free, that's the only reason why it's better than steel tubing for me. But the same principles will apply, the same techniques using the square tubing. Alright, and I made my cut. Woohoo! Get wrecked. And now I guess I could do my sanding. Got my trusty old sandpaper. Let's do this. Again, the point of sanding this is just to make sure that it adheres well when I try to glue it. It gives the glue more surface area to bite into, makes it the surface less perfect. I'm going to be epoxy gluing copper pipe to black pipe, which is just steel pipe. So that's done. And now, for this guy, actually needs to be sanded everywhere. Yeah, I sleep 10 hours a day. So I'm going to sand the heck out of this bad boy because it's got a lot of surface irregularities and it needs to be smooth for my linear bearing I'm going to be making for it to slide nicely on it. Trying just to make sure that the edges aren't too sharp or any burrs sticking out. Don't watch me stroke my pipe, you pervert. Be my guest, la 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 la. A little vacuuming can go a long way to prevent dust. Yeah, 3D printing is pretty cool. Be my guest, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Clean up the mess. Got it. Check. Guys, this might look crazy to you now, but this machine is going to make me millions of dollars. That's right, millions of dollars. If you don't believe that, well, have you ever lied to before? Don't answer that. It's just an expression, okay? And that made a mess. Goodness. Using up all my baby wipes. Am I man-spreading right now? I apologize. I didn't know we couldn't man-spread in our own bedroom, but... Hey. Sue me, then. Sue me for being a man-spreader. You have the right to sue. I'm over here trying to create technology for the betterment of mankind. And all you care about is whether or not I'm man-spreading. Well, you got to get your priorities straight. For crying out loud. There are more important things than man-spreading protocol. Okay? Well, now that I have sanded all of my pipes, I can give them a quick wipe down, I think, and then I can glue them to each other. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to show you guys that part, unfortunately. But let me just describe the process, which I'm going to do in the other room where I have my long table. I'm just going to lay the pipes next to each other on the table. And then I'm going to pour 5-minute epoxy into the cracks formed between the two pipes. Actually, you guys won't be able to visualize that. Crap. I might have to bring my table in here. Nabbit. You guys can't visualize jack squat. Yeah, when it dries, I'll have two side-by-side pipes stuck together. And the point of that is so that my linear bearing, which I'm going to create to slide over vertically up and down these pipes, like my hand is right now, it's going to slide, will not be able to do this. It needs to just go like this without losing its twisty motion. So that's why two pipes next to each other will prevent the twisting. So that everything can stay true and flush and straight. So what would you call that? To prevent biaxial rotation or something? I don't know. See, there's no point trying to sound smart because nobody knows what you're talking about then anyways. Even if I did know all the big words, it wouldn't help the average Joe any. It'd just scare them off. They wouldn't even want to try it then. They'd be like, oh, this is too hard for me. But the fact that I don't know any big words should make following along with my projects from home all the less threatening. Okay. Do it on the floor? I could. I don't know how straight my floor is. No, because with the carpet padding over the years, some areas will be more worn down than others. The floor wouldn't be flat at all. We need something that's like really flat. Like really flat. Because if you lay the two pipes and one of them is kind of like this, then the rotator is, or the linear bearing is going to rotate a little bit when it hits that part. And that rotation will throw it off by a millimeter or two, and I'll never know why. You know, when it's painting on that little corner, everything's off or whatever. Everything has to be true and straight. Alright guys, so I just glued the two pipes together halfway with epoxy. I told you guys I was going to do hot glue and then bring it back in the room, but I chose not to. I just I don't trust the hot glue to hold if it's just tacked in place. I just decided I'm just going to do the whole thing on the table, and I could bring it into here after I've done a couple coats on one side. I can flip it over and show you guys on the other side how I glued the two pipes together. It's not that complicated. So I am going to call it. What's a lie? I didn't tell any lies. So basically, yeah, I just made great progress on my CNC machine. I now have the linear rails, the main vertical linear rail with the two thick pipes. One's 1 inch, 1 3/4. They're now joined, but they need to have more glue added to finish the joining on one side, and then another full coat or two on that side. I can bring the pipe into here, flip it over, and do a few coats on the other side while you guys watch. And I can just do that in my lap. That'll be no problem. And then that rail will be done. We'll do the same thing with all the sanding and everything, rinse repeat with the next rail. Then we'll have our two parallel rails, and from there we can do our cross bars and join that with fiberglass and epoxy. So now we have a full rectangle, and then we can then develop our linear bearing for the linear rail, and at that time we can also develop the linear bearing for the second linear rail, and we can develop the various heads after that, the sewing head, painting heads, all the heads, laser head, 3D printing head, upholstery head. And then from there, we'll develop the top and bottom pipes coming out of that, and then we'll develop the 2 parallel rollers, or the feeders, on both sides, 2 and 2, so that's 4 feeding wheels. And then we can set up all the motors, the power supply, and from there we can use it.